Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody in between and all over the world, welcome to the mountaintop of UK Ultimate in the Open Division. We are here at the Open Final watching what has basically become an entrenched game for the most part, slight deviations over the years, but these old rivals lock horns. Chevron Action Flash against Clapham. Of course, last year was the first time we saw a difference in result, and everyone is wondering, could they do it again? I am Lorcan Murray, and I'm going to be putting questions like that for the next hour and a half to my good friend and, quite frankly, far superior commentator, Sean Colfer.
Put yourself down there, Lorcan, you're doing a very good job. So, yes, it's the first time we're seeing this game with Chevron as the number one seeds, having them come in as the reigning national champions. We'll see if they can do it again. Both these teams have had a pretty straightforward run to this game, other than one very, very notable outlier for Chevron. They were only able to defeat Smog 15-14 in their first game of the pools yesterday. They were 14-12 down in that game, so they had to score 3 points to win that game. They, from there, beat Bristol 15-12 and Kapow 15-6. Clapham 15-7, 15-12 and 15-3, so they're able to win their games pretty easily. And then early this morning, Chevron beat Smash D 15-5, I believe, while Clapham won 15-7 against Smog. So both teams scoring 15 in every game so far. Only one really close one. Clapham pushed by Alba, but 15-12 is relatively comfortable in the grand scheme of things at this level. So hopefully we're here to see another barn burner, but Chevron affected by some injuries. Clapham pretty much full strength. Clapham, even though they're coming in as the second seed, I think coming in probably is the favourites here.
An understandable position. I think a lot of people were expecting Clapham to bounce back with an aggression, with a real focus. You can see they're already starting off loud on the sideline. They want to make up for what happened last year. They want to return to their near peerless record. Of course, they got some revenge in Europe last season. Will they do it domestically this year as well?
Some revenge in Europe. Last year, European champions. We've got the UK champions against the European champions here as we start this first offensive point.
And Chevron Action Flash look to get going. Trying to find some early ease and a couple of quick passes. Criddle sends it back into the middle and across to the waiting form of Turner. And through the centre, immediately Rag jumps in. The Peroxide Demon gets an early break, and Clapham showing their intentions with their teeth on the brick mark. At this point it's an end zone drill, although there is a call, so that will go back.
Looks like a foul call. I think Rag hit Hodgett with the disc. Hodgett just checking to make sure there's no blood there. It looks like he's all right. And the disc will come back to Rag.
Just a little bit of understanding, conversation before we get back into the battle. Sits back in a break. Nicely thrown around, but not immediately punched in. Nat instead goes back to Rag, continues the run. This is such a difficult move to stop in front of the end zone, and in fact, they can't break straight away, courtesy of Henry Brooking.
Yeah, Henry Brooking, first time Clapham player, puts the what is like a break bucket hat. I haven't seen that one before from Clapham. Seems like some whimsy from Clapham. I haven't seen that ever. I don't recall seeing that in my entire life. But really, really good point to start out with. You want to turn early on. If you can get it, a block from Rag, get him on the board, and then good offensive execution. Nap moving from side to side until we find the crack in the Chevron defense. Canadian national team player Hugh Knapp playing with the Open team that's going to be going to Australia, as he gets the inside, well, the little pop assist to Henry Brooking.
You call that whimsy, call it imperial leisure.
Driving arabesque, yes. Really, really nice. Looks good on him. Henry
That
Brooking.
move in front of the end zone, we were talking about the end zone drill earlier today and how obsessed we were with it to a certain extent, but that move just right outside, you throw, you move yourself and run laterally across, no one else gets in the way, you don't clog. It's very, very difficult to stop without help defense, at which point you're giving up free shots into the end zone.
Yeah, definitely, especially when that cut from that first came, the mark goes along to try and stop that around flick break, and then as soon as that goes back, you know your mark is on the wrong side of you. If you fire across there, you're going to be able to get that there.
So Funk with the big pull and a chorus of frogs raise their croaks. Spears. Ooh. Decides not to go with the first pop. Takes on the second chance back to Hodgett. Just kind of rotating it around, Just a quick pop, pass and gets it back. And looks over to Spears. Inside leading pass to Hodgett and right back to him. A nice little ladder effect. And now Spears is just starting to run down the pitch with friends, and there's a foul, so it's going to go back. Back to Spears.
Yeah, blocking foul, just Bennett getting slightly in the way of Alcock there, and Alcock now just taking position. They'll get back going.
Spears backs it back. Sweetenham, one of those young stars for Chevron. Had himself quite the performance on these very fields last year at under-24s. As Chevron looking to even the game up and do so with a lovely shot to the end zone.
Yeah, really nice play from Chevron. Clapham came down with the zone to try and stop any pull plays, to try and stymie the flow that Chevron were able to generate. But really good work by Spears, Hodgett, Bennett and Kime back there, getting that disc moving. Nice inside shot, got the disc to Spears in the middle, and from there they're able to generate some pretty good movement. And in the end it goes down to Cameron Weir for the goal. Nice execution and a good way to get on the board after a fairly tough first point, as we see the movement here. Sweetenham is the one that is able to kind of come back across to Spears. And you just see the disc flowing until it gets to Hodgett. And Hodgett finds the one downfield.
So Sweetenham was part of the young contingent who really made a huge difference to Chevron last year.
Yeah.
I think you have an update for us, though, on that young contingent this season.
Yeah, Sweetenham obviously out there. We're another one of those young players out there. Criddle has been out there on a couple of points, but we have seen before the game Ethan Morrill, who was maybe the best player on that team last year, particularly in the final, had an absolutely blinding performance in the final. One of those performances people will be talking about for years to come. One of the reasons that Chevron finally ended that hoodoo, but he is on the sideline with crutches, definitely not with cleats on, so almost certain he's out of this game, given the fact that he needs help walking around. Big shame. He's a brilliant player, so fingers crossed he's back sooner rather than later for the rest of this European campaign.
Mead gets it down the line. Taken in by McHale. And Mead working really hard, but it's the teamwork Briggs, although he bobbles it and brings it right back down. I think that is understandable. Accidental contact with some force, but no bad intention.
No, absolutely. Briggs bobbles it, and Dixon peels off Justin Ford to try and get there. Briggs catches it, and he does catch him in the head with his elbow. That's extremely unintentional. You can see Dixon apologising immediately. Looks like everyone's all right, though. Good to see, and they'll carry on. I think the level of physicality and contact so far has been actually less than I would usually expect to see from these two teams, frankly.
We're only 5 minutes in, so give them a little bit of time to settle into the afternoon and maybe into their throws, as overthrowing Ford. And here come Chevron, right back at them. Big inside flick, that's going to drift, it's going to be tough, and all the way out. So Ben Hall did a great job to get himself free and in that position, but then just locked on options.
Yeah, definitely, and I think he also locked on a reset to Deck Carter on the far side, and as he's about to throw it, Oscar Modiano comes across, takes that lane away. Now Ben Hall's fairly high in the stall count, and he doesn't really have too many options downfield. Ben Hall, brilliant player, early in his career played for Devon, kind of went away from the sport for a bit, coached Bristol women to a national championship. Had a knee injury last year after making it GB Open, but that was a brilliant layout bid by Ben Barak to stop Conor McHale.
And despite the intentions of Ford coming across, that is excellently taken down by Hannum and popped in for the score.
Brilliant throw. Cartwright, I think, is bleeding it the whole way. He's just waiting and waiting and waiting. Haynes gets it over there, waiting and waiting and waiting, takes it at the very last minute and then gets it into the end zone. Bit of chaos on that first Clapham O point. That's not something you're used to seeing from the really established players of this Clapham offense. They play together for so many years and they have such good internal chemistry. We're used to seeing machine-like efficiency, but a brilliant layout bid from World Games player Ben Barak there.
And like you say, this throw, you say milking, I think it's almost making me very nervous as Ford gets as close as he possibly can, but then Cartwright just with a quick finish. And another one of those young stars, Roger Williams.
Yeah, Roger Williams, didn't mention him. Another one of those players, as you say, Lorcam, who was hugely integral to that win last year. another under-24 player, played GB under-24s on this venue, was one of the main players in the Open team, was on GB Open along with Ethan Morrell last year, neither of them going to Australia, which is a shame for them and a shame for the team. Both very, very good players. Roger Williams has grown into becoming one of the best defensive players in the country, in my opinion. So he'll be a miss for GB, but he is not a miss for Chevron here.
And that was a very significant score for Chevron to get back. I mean, you come into this game, you open up by giving up a break to Clapham. You've got it, just a little part of you think, oh, are we just straight back to normal?
Yeah.
Chevron have other ideas.
Especially when you get the turn and then give it back. You don't usually get 2 chances against Clapham.
And relative throwaways as well. As here come Clapham, eager to make up for those earlier mistakes. Hillman looks to feed McHale. McHale has Briggs down the line and completely miscommunication with Abrams. And here comes Chevron right back at them. Martin Hull on a little bit of an island for now. Takes his time, there's no need to rush anything. Gets it to Dixon. Okay, now there might be a need to rush things. That Stolkan's getting high, forced to go with the long shot. Chased down and not quite rescued. Lots of credit to Rollo Dixon, but not able to get his fingers around it.
Rollo sacks Dixon, unable to play last year, was injured. He's been in and out of the team with injuries for a little while now. Former GB mixed player, extremely talented player, has been a really good player for a long time. Just outside of his reach there, you see him roll onto his back, looking up at the heavens as he ponders what he's done wrong in his life to make that disc be pushed away from him that little bit. But this is a very messy start for this Clapham offense.
Very messy, and Chevron aren't doing the best job of taking advantage of these opportunities. This is not promising. Gets it just onto the sideline of Wilson. Back into Abrams. Abrams, big swing across to Briggs. Has a couple of options. Eventually finds Conrad Wilson. Sends it down to Magnus, and another okay. Speaks for itself, really. As here come Robbie Haynes and Chevron Action Flash. Another opportunity for a break. You don't normally get this many. That's Hart saying no to the deep shot. Didn't like how it was set up. Understandable. It seems to be a bit of a 1-6 look. I'm not sure if that's on purpose or just by circumstance. Dixon swings it across. And a big leading pass. You know who he wants. The bop. And fantastic defensive pressure by McHale to stop that from going any further. And immediately getting things going to Wilson in the opposite direction. It's already past the brick mark. Does not want to settle. Comes around and inside. Abrams just able to lead that one along. So now Hillman just goes straight back to him. To McHale. Cuts coming from the far sideline into the open space. It's the former Wilson. He has to settle for just the short reset. And then a delicate backhand break, followed by another that seemed to get a slight touch from Sax Dixon, but not quite enough. Hillman. Sideline tries to force it. I don't know if that's forcing it. That came out smooth as butter.
It did. It's a nice offensive possession from Clapham to conclude the point, but that's 8 turnovers in this game so far. 8 turnovers, I think 2-2. You do not see that at this level of Open usually. I don't know whether these two teams are both emotionally charged. Obviously Clapham have come out firing knowing that they didn't win last year. There's definitely some level of retribution that they're after. Chevron, on the other hand, coming in as underdogs despite being reigning champions. Maybe they're thinking, you know, we're getting disrespected as well, but whatever's happening here, this offense is a lot messier than we're used to seeing. We see McHale kind of throwing it to nobody, and then you see just a drop by Magnus Wilson, usually so reliable. Not something you expect to see from him. But it's nice, a nice catch under pressure from Dixon there. Dixon, who looks out on his feet. I mean, he's hands on his knees. He looks absolutely shattered. And the disc goes in to Magnus Wilson for the score. Clapham's offense has been, I think it was this time last year where I was in the same position, kind of commentating on the Open Final, where their offense looked so odd and stagnant, and they had changed it mid-season and it wasn't really working for them. And then at Euros it worked brilliantly. And this year so far, they haven't had their full squad at many tournaments, but at Wimbledon it looked like it was working really nicely. Even when they've been kind of undermanned, the offenses look pretty good, but they're struggling a bit to start here, and I wonder whether this is a case of some jitters in a familiar position that they didn't execute in last time around.
Hodgett with the disc, trying to steady the Chevron offense. Let's get a clean hold here. We've already earned back, serve. Now let's not force anything too much, Graham. They're really not trying to force anything, but I don't know if that's taking easier options or just struggling to get free. Turner to Hodgett, and that's very close. You know, Rag is always lurking, looking to ruin somebody's day. Coldhammer back to Hodgett. Hodgett across to Turner. Has Sweetenham, says no. Didn't really have Spears, I suppose. Hillman's doing a good job. Or not Hillman, sorry. Back to Spears, to Hodgett. And then lashes that one straight down to Sweetenham before the score. There's going to be a pick call.
Yeah, Chevron working it quite nicely. Just a correction for our stats here. I'm not quite sure why Tom Bennett is wearing Andy Turner's shirt, but he is. Andy Turner's injured on the sideline. Tom Bennett I know he has a number 13 jersey. He was wearing it earlier, but he's wearing Andy Turner's jersey for this game. So Tom Bennett is the one on the line here.
Perfect. So that's Tom Bennett then.
That is Tom Bennett.
Just liking to confuse us up here in the booth. Bennett across to Graham, and then Graham shoots to the back corner and is taken down, not too enthusiastically, seemingly, by Elliot Edwards.
Yeah, two of the newer players on this O-line, but they clearly have gone into the fold quite nicely. They're moving the disc really, really well. Bennett is a returner to Chevron. He was with Smog previously, has had seasons with Chevron. He's back with them now. Graham, another one who's played previously for Smog, and Elliot Edwards was with Smash D last year, another one of the under-24 open contingent. So Chevron bringing some new players in, but doesn't seem to have stopped that offensive flow. As we see here, Hodgett goes across to Bennett. Bennett finds Graham with a nice throw. Graham reels it in, and in the end, Elliot Edwards, who is a play finisher par excellence. Plenty of space in that back corner. You're right, doesn't really seem to just march it off.
How does that make you feel as a coach?
It's just a little odd. I don't really understand it. Why people are like, I've scored and now I'm angry.
I'm mad about it.
I don't really get it.
I don't like being in the lead in the national final. Boo. 3-2.
Yeah. But
so people play different ways though. Like Roy Keane obviously would be more like that. And there's some people who play with joy, or play with anger, or play with, I don't know, sadness. I don't know if anyone's been motivated by sadness to play Frisbee. But
it's like you've been watching Inside Out. Inside Out 2.
Anxiety drives every decision I make. Briggs. Those throws just come out like lasers. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Hillman back to Briggs. He has Mead. McHale's floating around. Chevron trying to limit them, keeping them in the end zone here for at least 4 passes. McHale, Mead goes up the line. Wilson comes all the way back in. The focus clearly on stopping the continuation break. Don't mind him getting that disc in the first place. And then that switch seems to have gotten blown up a little bit by Ford. And Clapham work their way out of the end zone. And a big leading pass looking for Mead from the dump space to the deep cut. That is so hard to stop. And Briggs pops it in, almost floating for the score.
Yeah, lovely little play by Clapham there. As you say, Briggs and Mead, 2 handlers clearing out that space. They know that Chevron are going to be focusing on them and making sure that they can't get any movement in the end zone. So a couple of ropey moments for them in their own end zone, but once they broke out of it, they managed to correct that spacing, move the handlers upfield, let the cutters come back in when they have position to do so. Nice leading shot down the field for Mead, and Briggs, a good job following up the play. But we saw a lot of very tight D there from Chevron. Ben Hall slightly poaching off a little bit, came to Ford. Even this throw here from Modiano is tightly contested, but Mead has read the play nicely. And yeah, Briggs following it up. Always important to do. It can be easy. We've seen already this weekend people kind of leaving their teammates isolated downfield post-huck, but Briggs making sure it doesn't happen to Mead. You see him in the shot here, just coming in behind the Chevron defender, and as he comes back over, there it is. Nice and easy for the score.
I'd also like to give a shout out to Briggs for very clearly jumping that in.
Oh yeah.
None of this little like hop, step, no. He jumps from like a foot outside of the end zone and just glides across.
Just making sure that the defender can't get there to contest it.
Big pull coming in, sharp, but nicely fielded, and Graham receives. Back into the center. Back to Graham. A similar clamping down on these handlers. Real initial pressure and not a huge amount of help coming from the cutting space right now. As that stall count's got to be getting higher. The poach comes from Ollie Gordon, but a fantastic inside break to find Graham. So right now it's basically all Graham and Hodgett. Eventually they start involving some other people. This is Criddle, the young star, across to Weir. Thinks about it, not very long. He wants to launch it. It goes absolutely nowhere near Funk, and well taken down.
For all the world, that looked like it was going straight to Ben Funk, and then just at the last minute, it held its shape beautifully, goes over his head, straight into the waiting arms of Elliot Edwards. What a phenomenal throw by Weir.
Finisher par excellence.
That's what I said.
That's German?
Yeah, oui.
So Elliot Edwards showing off, but again, the young talent of Chevron, that's got to be a story here.
Definitely. As it always seems to be, Chevron always seems to find these young players, bring them in, give them roles, let them exceed what they've done before, and really develop into leading players for them. We've seen plenty of them, and we're seeing it again here today.
Huge throw, one last look at it. Wonderfully taken in. You can see, just look for the bump. That looks like it's going to Funk all day, and then last second. Must have angered the gods. So right now, Clapham and Chevron just taking a second to recuperate, to reposition themselves. It was 2 clean holds, one after the other, so you got to imagine a lot more to come, and only one place to see it here with ULTI.TV on YouTube. Is it Chevron 4, Clapham 3.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Welcome back, everybody, to what has been quite a tantalizing competition so far, as that disc doesn't even nearly land inbounds. So messy to start off with, Sean.
Yep.
But clean since.
Yeah, 4 points, 8 turnovers, which is very unusual for an open game of this standard, and then 3 clean holds, 2 by Chev, 1 by Clapham. So there's been some moments of peril in all 3 of those clean holds. The D is still definitely asking questions. There was a couple at the moment of a bit of worry for Clapham inside their own end zone where Briggs had to really extend to catch it. Chevron were then penned in their own brick mark by Clapham, but clean holds they are, and both teams rolling a little bit more now.
Abrams gets it across to Hillman. You can see the split stack to open it up for the position, and a straight cut across from Hillman, and then the stall gets to what must be 7. McHale able to just reset the clock and doesn't really want it. They need this break to come off. I like that aggression. Uncontested foul, but Toby Nicholas just putting in work.
Fully agree, making it hard on Hillman. And sometimes when making it hard, there's going to be some slight contact, but I wouldn't dial it back from there.
Hillman still under pressure, and eventually just has to give up some yards. Not very many, admittedly, but still some. And Hillman gets it right back. It's just such a never-ending challenge to keep the disc out of that man's hands. McHale leading Moriano. Just looking at open fields ahead of him. McHale with the loping cut. Just a little bit bendy. Back to Hillman. Cuts coming. Doesn't want them. And then McHale cycles all the way around, but winds up on the open side as a result. And then launches the blade. That's gonna work. It's gonna land just outside for Wilson. So he is on the doorstep. Will Chevron let him in? What was that? What was I? Sean.
That is a very, very, very risky underhand kind of pop into Justin Ford. Deck Cartwright as well, who's played with both of those players for GB Open, knows them both well, read it the entire way, threw himself at it, tried to get a hand in there, but somehow Ford holds onto it through like a bid, very small space, very strange throw, as we see the throw from McHale to Conrad Wilson in the first place. Looks like his leg lands on the line, maybe. But as we see here, you can see Deck Cartwright knows what's coming, puts his body in the way and throws himself at it, but Justin Ford able to just about hang on. Unusual score.
Can you throw a Frisbee underarm?
That right foot may have been down. Wilson might be in, but they carry on anyway.
Inconsequential, as he didn't get to bowling ball this.
That's a push pass. That's a push pass that Justin Ford drops and knees back into his hand. Wow.
Look, whatever it was entertaining. And that's certainly what we were hoping for when we see these old enemies go back to war. That might be perfect. Spears waits underneath. Fantastic pull. It was Felix Martin, I think. Hodgett. Working with Graham. So Hodgett and Graham really forming the base line of this Chevron offense. A couple of the younger players as well as Spears. Also representing GB this year. Can't remember what division. Oh, huge layout D! Incredible stuff. Ross Nugent is going to get called back for the foul. Nope. The Nuge gets huge, as is the Huge. Big time play and a chance for a break. And for Clapham to steal the lead back. Martin clears out. Nugent clears out. Rag is going to have to chase that one down. Actually had a lot more sit than I initially saw. I thought Steers might be able to steal it in from Button. Did that count? Nope. That's going to still be out. They're just getting so much joy in these small spaces. What are you supposed to do? Hugh Knapp able to find eventually Henry Brooking.
Another push pass score. Looks like Clapham, maybe they got an internal bet who can get the most push pass scores. That's absolutely ridiculous, but massive layout block from Ross Nugent is obviously the story at that point. Looked like Chevron were moving quite nicely, going down that far sideline, and then Nugent flies in, knocks away from Tom Bennett, and Clapham make the turn count.
It seems to be Clapham are attacking in incredibly small spaces in front of the end zone. Is that on purpose? Because you never see any other team do it on purpose.
They must be, as we see Nugent fly in and knock that away from Bennett. Doesn't look like there's any contact on the shoulder there. They have a quick conversation, but Bennett accepts it's a turnover. But it must be, because we see on the O-line as well. Might have been him, but he comes back out and with the, just to point it out again, totally useless ground tap. And then a push pass around.
The falling over.
Falling over, push pass around. Gotta love it. This mobile camera, again.
Great work by Butt as well to come back and
yeah, did a good job there.
Possession.
I think he has got his foot down when he catches that one. And then comes around and just a lovely little push pass, like you're right, Lorcan, falling over. Brooking his second goal of the game for a break. But yeah, they're Clapham in small spaces. They do it offensively, they do it defensively. This must be something they talk about, must be something they practice, something they want to rely on, and they are very good at it, but it seems to increase the risk level.
It's working, is the only thing I would say. But Graham with the disc, back to Hodgett, and smoothly through into the middle in the waiting arms of Criddle. Back to Hodgett, there's Sweetenham, near sideline. Nobody cuts deep for him straight away. I was a little surprised by that, but Hodgett. And there seems to have, oh, this is an opportunity, but nice and strongly attacked. Well done by Colthammer. Sweetenham. It's taken in by Criddle. Dainty little break inside, and there's the throw from Sweetenham, and he's looking for that.
That man again, Cody Elliott-Edwards. Always seems to be there to finish those plays, catch those scores. He's really good at it. He's not the tallest guy in the world, but he just seems to have a way of finding space in the end zone, and when it is up in the air, he boxes people out really well, uses his wide frame to get his position and go up and win those battles. Scored 3 points already, and he's been very important for this Chevron offense, which there's been a bit of creaking. Clapham putting a zone on there to try and slow them down, ask some different questions, but Chevron largely making good decisions and executing them well, as we see that nice throw from Sweetenham to Elliott-Edwards. Teammates for under-24s as well as now with Chevron.
I think it's a matter of timing beats tall. And earlier when Sweetenham got it on the sideline and Elliott-Edwards, I was watching him in the stack just like, surely now he goes, and he didn't. But I think he just recognised that didn't line up quite as well, and he knows the spots to pick, like you say, from playing together at the under-24s. We just have a quick look. 3 goals of Chevron's 5 goals. Marion Wine 1 was a break as well, so 75% of the O-line holds.
Yeah, playing really well, giving them a real another useful option downfield. Cameron Weir was playing that kind of role last year as well, kind of a younger player who was looking for space downfield, did a really good job of it. He's involved a little more in the mid area of the offense, mid area of the field this year, but Elliot Edwards giving them a nice safety blanket going deep.
Cameron Weir with a goal and an assist, so the other person who scored that. Offensive hold, Hillman. Flanked by Abrams. Doesn't like the throw to Briggs. You can see the poach to the middle of the lane by Robbie Haynes. Briggs throws it straight into the centre in the waiting arms of East. I thought that was a miscommunication between him and Abrams. East down the line to McHale. There's a chevron on every shoulder. But right now, Clapham are finding the space. Abrams, back to McHale. McHale across to Hillman. Don't finish the move. Nobody quite there, but they go straight through, and McHale just jumps it in clearly, cleanly, controlled.
Interesting point there. Dixon usually is the designated Justin Ford mark, has been performing that role for Chevron for years and years and years, but without Justin Ford on the field for Clapham's offense there, he took the Conor McHale matchup, which has been largely Ben Barak up to this point. Clearly, Chevron have specific matchups they want to rely on, but Clapham that time around, couple of moments of pressure from Chevron. Nice poach from Robbie Haynes early on, but really they moved it through the hands without too much fuss, too many issues, and like you say, jump in from Conor McHale to finish the point.
Do you think that was a travel?
No, I think he's caught that in midair. I think
No, I was in Hillman's throw. Because to me it looks like that's an inside break where you're stepping past the thrower. So if your back foot lifts at any point during your release, that's a travel, to me. Now,
potentially.
The camera went off it ever so slightly, so his foot might have been down.
Yeah,
but I've just, because we've been talking about this a lot about open side throws. That wasn't an open side throw.
No, and I'm sure everyone again who's played has heard this. You call travel on that, and he goes, "But I'm a lefty." And I see. So it's a different pivot. It's a different pivot. So lefties get that extra bit of leeway, right?
God damn it! I suppose you've got to make up for all those years we beat them into using their right hands.
Yeah. They have to use right-handed scissors, just like uselessly smashing at some paper.
I still don't fully understand how right-handed scissors work, but I don't need to. Bennett back to Hodgett. That's just right-hand privilege right there.
There we go.
Hodgett, Sweetenham with a quick pop in. Not a push pass though, technically a backhand. And there's Weir. I thought he was going to go for something sensational. He's got the rubber bones for it.
Weir took a few steps deep, came under as Hodgett unloaded to throw that deep shot. We're trying to catch up to it, but just didn't in the end have the legs to get there. After bailing out on that cut a little early, you saw just a little acknowledgement from Weir that he bailed out of that cut early when he had the space to go back, to go deep and get it, and now it's a big moment for Chevron's O-line.
See, can they get the disc back? It starts with McInerney. Immediately thrown across to Hillman. Dan Hillman holding on to it. Looks go back to McInerney. Rag. McInerney. Rag. And that time there's a miscommunication between himself and Dan Hillman. So Bennett steals in. Hodgett right outside the end zone. They need to finish. Off hand, left hand collected. There or thereabouts by Criddle.
Lovely little throw from Tom Hodgett there. Criddle has to reach back behind him. It's a really good catch in the end, but a great read by Tom Bennett to get on the end of that miscommunication. And Hodgett, who's been the centre of everything Chevron been doing so far offensively, is able to execute that throw in there. Very, very small gap to get that in. You could see the stalls rising a bit. He's getting a bit nervous, but gets it in and gets Chevron back on the board. But I said that was a really important moment for Chevron's O-line. If they had gotten broken again there, this game starts to get a little more out of reach. They've kept themselves within touching distance. They're only one breakdown. That's very much recoverable.
They will need to get it before half, though, or that will very quickly become 2 breaks, as they did start the game on offense. We have another look here. That was the interception and the quick throw to Hodgett. You really hit the nail on the head. He's been at the centre of everything their offense has done. They just trust him as a foundation.
Yeah, playing very well at the moment. As we see the percentage of offensive points recovered here, Chevron recovering 1 point there after turning over. Both previous times they turned over, they had given up a break, so crucially important for them to get that last one.
And get that Clapham O-line back out on the pitch. You can't get breaks unless you can get the O-line out there. Briggs, beautiful backhand break over the top to Hillman. That is Andrew Hillman. Modiano. A little bit of bumbling Fumbling, huge bid, but grasping at nothing but air. And there's the hook from Wilson. He's looking for Hillman. There's bodies in the area, and it's a definitive take by Robbie Haynes. He knew it was coming, and he knew where to be. Hall. And this is the chance Chevron need. Can they hold their nerve and hold on to the disc? Hall breaks between two. Robbie Haynes! That was unfortunately down and out. Much unlike Chevron right now, as they are showing that they are here to battle, stay close to that established European, if not even global power, is McHale, who's been all over the world, throws one that could have crossed the Atlantic, but in the end it just drops at the last second.
That absolutely died at the last second. What a strange flight of that disc. It was flying really nicely, looked like it was going to be an easy catch for Conrad Wilson, and then just drops to the turf. Williams
picks it up quickly, and it is stolen away immediately by Modiano. Throws it to Wilson. Wilson goes back to Hillman. Hillman has options, get it across to Wilson. Back in for the quick and easy finish of Ford.
Both teams seem to have ascertained here, or be of the belief here, that a fast start helps us, because they are both picking it up and going on every single turnover. The pace of this game is relentless. Neither team taking a beat to set an offense, to get things set. I suppose the thinking being, when you set your offense, that means the other team is going to set their defense as well. But both teams flying around. We've got a very frantic pace when that disc is in. Both teams with some turnovers there. Really, really good defense from Chevron. They were switching everything. The handler set was switching. Robbie Haynes was switching everything, going deep. And then you had a really good defense by Robbie Haynes going deep, as we see a shot of one of the Clapham captains, unhappy with the performance potentially so far, but here's the shot where Robbie Haynes peels off the back, again switching everything, and he takes it ahead of Andy Hillman. Really, really good catch. But then Ben Hall, who's had a turnover earlier, he had Tom Martin Hall behind him, ready for the dump, tries to go to Robbie Haynes on the sideline instead, isn't able to complete it.
It was
and
tough.
Then a nice shot from Ford for the goal.
He was throwing through two people. That's going to be a difficult one to make.
Absolutely.
And forward to East to finish it off. I don't know how East got that free on that corner, but that's what happens when you're switching. Every now and again, one gets blown. It's only natural. The important thing is not to get mad at each other and to stay true to that defensive structure, because it creates opportunities. It won't always work. No defense will always work in Ultimate. As we see a bit more swinging it back around. Spears was working with Sweetenham, and then he gets the scuba from Hodgett. Doesn't go with the quick pop straight back to him. Against this Clapham defense right now. Weir with the disc. Hodgett moves in front, but nicely recovered by Nugent to not allow the continuation. Hodgett stays working and gets it on the far sideline. Back into Spears. Spears has Weir, has Hodgett. Nobody else really moving for him, so must be waiting for the handlers to initiate the action. Hodgett smooths it around to Graham. Graham to Sweetenham. This is comfortable and not forced from Chevron right now. And there's the blade over the top. Look, the kind of person Sweetenham is, I don't think I'd count that as forced either.
No.
But yeah, I would keep running backwards.
With a little three-point shot celebration, the knife to Steve Colthammer comes off. Really, really nice offense from Chevron. Like you said there, Lorcan, didn't seem too forced. Looked like everything was going pretty well. And even then, that shot at the end, like you said, Sweetenham has that in his locker. We've seen it before. But another one where Hodgett heavily involved, Callum Spears heavily involved, and they find an option in the end zone. That nice inside shot there. Things are a little sticky here, but Sweetenham finds his way out of it.
I'm a big fan. It's something that the youth of today have brought into the sport, is blading in outdoors. I guess indoors does matter then, Hannah. As after all of that excitement and facing the tantalizing prospect of a Galaxy point, 7-all, we're going to take a timeout as it is Chevron. Welcome back, everybody, as we are having a fantastic final right here. And just to talk about how close it is, Sean.
Yeah, so Chevron so far have been getting turns. The success rate there that we just saw, Chevron have been getting turns on more of Clapham's O points than Clapham are getting turns on Chevron's O points. Chevron's D really doing an effective job of taking Clapham's offense out of their comfort zones. 50% of Clapham's O points so far have had a turn, only 33% of Chevron's O points. So really, really good job so far by Chevron making that offense tough. This is to get the game back on serve if they can get a break here, because Clapham currently 1 break up.
And they will start the second half on offense. So this is a crucial point. Abrams around to McHale. McHale through to Hillman. That disc was rising all the time, but McHale jumped to match it, and Haynes tries to peel off. It doesn't work out. Abrams hasn't slowed down. I think he started running 20 seconds ago, and that was the first time he stopped. Gets it to Hillman. They want to go into half. They don't want to be here messing around. And there's that quick recycle right in front of the handler outside the end zone. They really have no fear about attacking these tiny spaces. Chevron continue to switch. McHale. Ford came to get involved. Comes to get it back. Rescues that disc. The stall count. I think there's got to be a foul call there, otherwise he could have got up to stall 3 waiting for him to stand back up.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like it's an accepted foul call as well. Good bid by Seb Allen.
Excellent effort by Seb Allen. Excellent rescue by Ford. Shades of the European final in 2022. Hillman. And Ford just taking Seb Allen to market on that one. Back to Hillman. He wants it around to Wilson. Chevron seem happy to let him get that as they focus more on stopping the next pass. Haynes using a little bit of body. Abrams using a little bit of magic to hold on to that disc. Briggs. Back to Wilson. Back to Briggs. And with the big backhand break, just getting off to Abrams. And then there's the smooth throw, and Hillman collects.
Really, really nice work from both teams there. Chevron doing very reminiscent of Clapham-esque, switching everything, keeping that disc in front of you, pushing Clapham back. Clapham happy to move back, happy to take whatever pass is available to keep resetting that stall count and keep hold of possession, doing a really good job until they find that open player at the front of the end zone. Eventually that switching scheme giving Chevron some problems, but really, really good offensive execution by the Londoners. Really good half from both teams. We had a pretty rough start, a lot of turnovers. Since then, it's been pretty clean, a lot of good stuff from both teams, a lot of good effort from both teams. Even when things have been clean, there's been some good attempts at blocks, there's been some good poaches, some smart stuff. Yeah, really good final so far, and a really close one, although Clapham looking to take advantage of that little mini break to put themselves ahead, as we see brilliant bid by Seb Allen to try and get there. And then that is really underrated how tough that catch is for Tom Abrams.
You see that be a turnover 4 times out of 5. And here just the relentlessness with which Briggs attacks the break side with his throws. It's just nearly impossible to put a force on him. And like I was saying earlier, when you're dealing with constantly switching, eventually if you just keep pressuring the defense, constantly attacking them with different players from different angles, eventually someone will get free, because it's just not possible to communicate at that high a level for that consistent a period of time. As just to show you how high a level this game has progressed to, there were a lot of turnovers early, but like you said, it has bounced back in a big way with a huge pass completion, 96% for Chevron, 93 for Clapham, but Clapham in the lead and coming back to get offense at the start of the second half. And we hope you will come back and join us as well, as it is Clapham 8, Chevron Action Flash 7.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Welcome back, and thank you for hopping onto our stream if you have.
Very nice.
You gotta no-sell it. It doesn't work if you don't no-sell it. Chevron still in their huddle as Clapham taking to the line. you can tell the intensity. Chevron have got what I would consider as a mountain to climb. But it starts because they need to get the break on this point, and they still won't be on serve. That's the significance of coming in at the second half, carrying a break when you didn't start on serve.
Definitely, it's a tough spot against a team like Clapham as well.
But here's the thing. Chevron have had chances.
They have.
We saw the rate at which they were turning over, getting turns on the Clapham O-line. We've seen Clapham at times, I almost think by design, resorting to playing within the same 5-foot box with 2 to 3 players.
Yep.
Pressure exists. They can exert it. The Clapham team may not be tires, but they certainly look a little tired at times. What would you like to see Chevron change, if anything, coming into the second half?
I don't think they need to change much. They're doing a really, really good job of putting pressure on the resets. We saw as on the last point before half, as Clapham got close to that end zone, Chevron is switching, keeping the disc in front of them, and doing a really good job of making sure that every time the Clapham player has the disc, there's a body on them making it tough. The only time they didn't do that is when it went over to Conrad Wilson, and the first thing they did was make sure he's got no shots into the end zone, and then we come out and we protect the end zone from there. They're doing a really good job of putting pressure directly on the disc in every single situation, in every part of the field. I don't think they need to change that. They just need to hope that that tells, and when they get those turns, they convert them. They've been struggling a little bit to do that since the start of the game. That's the big thing they need to focus on as Briggs throws it straight to the defender.
That was incredible, and there's the punchback, there's the break they needed. What an insane way to start the second half. That was Toby Nicholas, who, I guess that's called an interception, I'm not quite sure. Ben Hall, you were talking, he had a little bit of struggles with some throws earlier. He gets a crucial assist right there, popping it in. And we're all tied up, Sean.
We are all tied up. Brilliant pull, puts it all the way back. Briggs then gets possession on his own end zone line, and Nicholas, I mean, just needs to throw straight to his chest.
I gotta say, like, no, at that point you secure the disc.
Oh, I think so.
There's a little bit of thinking where you're like, I mean, that could have been a Callahan, but no. Absolutely no need to force it, and that's Haynes picking it up and absolutely ruining that disc for anybody else.
Tries to kick spike it, but doesn't get full hold of it because someone tackles him because they're so happy. You can see how much that meant to Chevron.
This whole game on the line. We were talking all weekend long about Clapham coming into this matchup with an intensity, as in, by matchup I mean tournament, not even just this one game, with an intensity and trying to roll through people. Alba played their best game of, possibly the season against Clapham and still lost 15-12. That was the kind of power they were bringing to bear. And right now, Chevron showing they're every bit equal to it. Only one break down. 1/2 of ultimate left to go in the UK Open season. My ability to understand depth there lost me. I thought they were about to throw it right into another Chevron defender. So a bit of contact on the pick, but it'll go back to McHale. I believe it's marked by Haynes, and it's Nicholas who is marking Hillman. But like you say, Chevron switching everything. Or Abrams, now it's with McHale. And then McHale over the top. East has Abrams. Abrams has been running very hard and creating space. That is going to be a foul.
They will let them talk about it, but it looked to me as though McHale put both his hands on Roger Williams to try and kind of push him away to get some separation there. We'll see what the discussion is, but that was the look in real time.
So they'll just work it out a little bit themselves. How about everybody just have a little examine? I've seen so many of these inside breaks on the up the line. I'd be inclined to agree. I can't feel that, but I'd be inclined to agree.
Like we said before, when you're moving, when you're in full speed, the slightest touch throws you off so much. And there's definitely a hand on Roger Williams' right arm, pushes him backwards if he's not able to get the right explosion off to contest that.
Big fucking job, yeah. Big fucking job, Toby. You maybe got your arms, but they don't throw that. If your arms are there.
Of course, the call from the sideline, big trucking job, understanding that they've got a lot of weight to shift. As East goes to Hillman. Again, it's that inside break scoop that players all weekend have been employing to lethal effectiveness. East goes back to Wilson. And still, a little bit of physicality. Olivia Newton-John on the mark. McHale. Back to Wilson. And there's the switch and the clamp on the front of stack cut from Modiano. But again, McHale tireless and so difficult to stop as they switch direction. Leading pass, McHale takes it at full extension, wants the pop in. It's a fake and finds Modiano on the other side.
Yeah, Chevron switching everything, but a little bit of a blown switch on Modiano there. He's able to get some position across the front. You could see Ben Hall doing everything he could to try and limit Conor McHale there. Doing a pretty good job getting there, making it tough, but McHale has Modiano for the score. And again, Chevron getting direct pressure on the disc, making it really hard on Clapham. Clapham having to work really, really, really hard. The one thing I think that Chevron have had a few instances of that's been letting them down a little is when they've completely sold out trying to stop that round. We've seen 2 or 3 layout bids to try and stop an around break. And as you said, Lorcan, that just means Clapham then using that inside channel to great effectiveness.
It's that throw, and we're seeing it on both sides of the pitch. People doing flicks, backhands. It's finding the space in between the cut. And the opposite, and I think it's because a lot of people are starting to do this, take away the around, try and take away the up the line, and it opens it up for those kind of throws.
Yeah. They're still tough throws, very narrow lane. But
really tough, but it's one of those things where it kind of shows my age. The older you get, you start to think, like when the lefty backhand first came out, or the offhand backhand, I should say, and you're like, well, that's a very hard throw, not many people will learn that. 5 years later, everybody knows how to do it.
Yeah.
It's basically mandatory.
Yeah, if you're an offensive handler that can't do an offhand throw, you're really at disadvantage.
Hodgett to Graham. They need to get this hold at risk of deepening their disadvantage. Coltheimer. Graham tries to swing the shoulder, gets just enough separation from Nugent, looks over his shoulder to make sure the break isn't coming off straight away. Point into the centre, Sweetenham comes back. Felix Martin with the monster force. Hodgett around, good recycling to the opposite sideline. Colthammer sits it up, and Nugent is trying to make himself a nuisance. But that time he didn't get close to it. Sweetenham to Spears. Spears doesn't want to take that inside break himself. Hodgett stutters, shakes, collects. He follows it up with a nice backhand break to Graham. So on this near sideline, and they're working that backhand break. Not all the way though. Working that backhand break, but gets in the way. Graham. Spears. There's the cut, there's the lead, and that was very nicely done by Weir.
Offhand break, Weir and Spears both with offhand throws, as you were talking about earlier, Lorcan. Big thing there, I think, is the defensive matchup selection by Clapham to stymie what we were talking about earlier with Chevron. We've talked a lot about Hodgett and how he's been really reliable and a kind of an anchor for this Chevron O-line. They put Henry Brooking on him. Henry Brooking, who is a first-time Clapham player this year, is on the GB Open squad, has been winning all the fitness sessions, all the fitness competitions with Clapham and with GB Open. A relentless athlete, will run all day, one of the fastest players on this team. They've got him basically staring into Hodgett's eyes the entire time, not even looking at the disc. He's just staying within a metre of Hodgett wherever he goes on the field. And then Cody Elliott-Edwards, who's been doing really, really well, they put Ollie Gordon on him. We've seen for years how good Ollie Gordon is in the end zone. Trying to stop him, as we see that lefty backhand from Callum Spears. He's definitely a righty. If he's not throwing, he's throwing righties at GB mixed trainings anyway. So if he's not actually a righty, he's doing pretty well at it. But
this would be a hell of a time for him to reveal that to you. I'm actually left-handed there, yeah. Coach.
But lovely throw, and Weir doing a good job of getting there. But the defensive selection as enlightening for Clapham as anything else.
Of course, that defensive selection you can see has disrupted some of the offensive attempts, but on both sides. As there has been, like you said, a bevy of turnovers early on in the game, but they've since cleaned up for a large part. The break started at the half, and that's the one turnover we've had so far.
Yeah, it's been really clean for a little while there. As you see, the clean hold rate, 11 clean holds in 18 points between the two teams. Pretty good after the messy start we had.
Not bad. McHale, Hillman. And again, back in their own end zone. We've seen Clapham work their way out of here with patience and assuredness. Modiano. McHale, just there to get the pop straight back. Just throwing through these small spaces. Hillman, I could understand, yeah, Bevan getting a little bit involved, but I kind of think Hillman had to travel in order for that to happen.
I think it's probably a fair foul call. Bevan's first point on the field, I think, and it's a foul call on Bevan.
Bevan maybe being brought in to exert some physicality. That's big leading pass. I'm not sure if Wilson was the intended receiver. That's a fantastic grab by Ford. That looked destined for dirt, but Ford had other ideas. And then Abrams, too casual? No, business casual. Modiano with the collection.
I think it was still maybe a little casual, but in the end it didn't matter too much. Something about that point again just seemed a little frantic, a little off. That throw to Ford, like you said, great catch. Is that for him? I'm not 100%. I think that's for Modiano, but either way, great catch on the way back down. Thought that was going to go, but Haynes is in there making it difficult. And in the end, it's good execution. But again, Chevron trying something a little different. They came on a zoney look to start with, into match, switching again. They're trying to make it as hard as possible on Clapham and doing a really good job of it. But Clapham, Chev were doing a good job. We talked about the stat earlier on of Chev's defensive success rate. They were getting turns on a lot of Clapham points. They've obviously had the break with the odd turnover from Briggs, but both teams have settled into a rhythm of kind of trading points, trading clean holds other than that break to start the second half.
It's also a throw earlier, the throw to Wilson. I thought maybe Barak, I might be misremembering the defender in the area, but it just seemed like that's not meant for Wilson. He kind of saved possession again. So like you say, Chevron ratcheting up the pressure, but Clapham equal to it right now. And that's the really challenging thing about playing defense at the highest levels of Ultimate. You could work your arse off and get 3 opportunities throughout the entire game.
Absolutely. And you've got to make advantage of at least one of those 3 opportunities, which gives you a very, very small margin for error. But that's how it goes, like you said, at the very top level.
That's where both these teams want to be, especially in the EUCS season or series, the championship happening later this year. Time. So Hodgett. Rag getting very close to that. Callahan. And recovering well. Hodgett uncorks one. He's looking for Weir. And it drops. But Weir is right there to catch it. And then just overthrowing Elliot Edwards. That's unfortunate. The virtuoso of the end zone. Wasn't able to get his fingers around that one, but it would have taken Mr. Stretch to do it.
Yeah, it wasn't really given an opportunity to. The throw by Hodgett, absolutely excellent. Gets Weir right in stride. Weir laying out, getting a few more yards out of it, and then just putting it too far in front of Elliot Edwards. He had space to do it as well, as Knapp does the totally useless ground touch.
Look, okay, it's ingrained in them. You can't. Oh, and it bounces off Nugent, and he tries to rescue it. It doesn't work out. So Keim picks it up, doesn't get the immediate throw to Hodgett. Now they can ratchet up the pressure. No, they can't. It's absolutely fine. Criddle is in the middle and takes the score.
Yeah, that's just another one where it's an execution error from Clapham's D-line. Had an opportunity to take that away, but that throw bounces out of the hand. To be fair to Nugent, it's a really, really tough catch. Both the first and second attempts he gets at it. One he's got to go a long way up for, and the other one he's on the way down, already falling, try and get it on the layout. Obviously he's going to be upset because it's hit him in the hands, but it's a very tough catch to make, and Chevron take full advantage. You see he's got to go up high there, doesn't get it, and the second one's really hard as well.
That is very tough. You got to imagine Rag not too happy with himself either. That's 2 break opportunities he's let go.
You see Brooking come across with Weir to try and stop that throw, and that just means no one's guarding the middle of the field, and Criddle's wide open, as you said, in the middle.
Do you think he'd be susceptible to being convinced to start doing the griddle after he scores?
Maybe. I know you were looking for someone else. Someone did that earlier in the weekend,
yes,
did they?
Ross
not?
for
Smog.
Yes.
There we go. Not that I really know what the griddle is. I'm too.
I was informed before the game.
Out of the culture to know what the griddle is. Frankly,
do you feel like you were ever in the culture?
Absolutely not. Brilliant pull from Ben Hall,
and it is just taking its time arriving in the hands of Abrams. Goes to Hillman. With the break back around to Abrams. Tries to get it across. Nicholas is staying tight to Hillman. I mean, everybody's staying tight to everybody in this game. It's just how things are. See Barak on McHale. Modiano. And he leads it out to Abrams again. That's Williams on Abrams. Abrams has had enough of this. Launches it. Nicholas has no idea. Follow the shadow. That's what Hillman is doing. And then has the opportunity to throw it to the very free Briggs, but they go even simpler. McHale on the follow-up and finds East in the back.
But another point where there's a little bit of a slight hole in the defense of Chevron, doing a brilliant job. You could see everyone's full send on those unders. Barak has a great layout attempt to try and get the disc off McHale. The one thing as well I want to point out is when people go back and watch this, but McHale pivots around to try and get the huck, and Barak does a great job avoiding contact. You see so many times people knocking people and getting a foul on that one, but a lovely throw from Abrams, and then just really well worked from Clapham to make sure they get the score. off a very short field and off a broken defense from Chevron. But again, a good point from Chevron, just one miscommunication and Clapham punishing them. That's all it takes.
And it's every move Clapham make is so aggressive, and it has to be respected. Like every step one of their players makes, because you know they'll throw it to each other in these small spaces,
yeah,
and you know they can uncork them. So then if you're somebody in the position like Toby Nicholas is in, you're just trying to limit Hillman, who's generally going to be handling for Clapham, and just doing whatever you can. So you have a look at Conor McHale packing stat sheets, as is his nature. But again, just one part of a giant grinding machine where, because you have to almost react and cover every move they make, it leads to eventually these big gaps coming, and throws into huge amounts of space.
Because with players of this quality and like you say, the aggressive movements they're making, all it takes is your weight being on the wrong foot or something. You're looking over the wrong shoulder. That's all it takes. That's all it takes, and you're completely out of it. And we've got nothing you've got no time to recover back onto it.
We don't have much to separate these two teams. It's a point score and a single throw in between total passes, which has now been evened up. As Hodgett sent that into Graham. And they are deep in their own end zone right now, staring down some aggressive Clapham forces. I think that's Hugh Knapp, Philip Garner, who were there initially. Spears is able to get a bit of distance and feeds Sweetenham, and there goes Weir. And there throws Sweetenham. Chase it down, Alcock and Butt in the area, but Weir, baby, takes it home.
Beautiful offensive point from Chevron. Like you said, Lorcan, they were in trouble in their own end zone, but they worked it out, kept that disc moving, as they've been doing really well all game, got it to Sweetenham. Sweetenham is really, really dynamic. He's a good downfield cutter, really good in the air. He's got a good arm and can really throw pinpoint shots, and Weir pulls that down before Butt can even jump for it.
Always in the lead, but the throw sets it up and leads him. I mean, we've seen these kind of throws. You turn down the first one, you got to step into the second one. You've lost a bit of momentum. That might hang, and then there's two defenders making it difficult, but Weir attacks it. That's talk about taking something off the top shelf.
Absolutely. That's going off one foot, exploding, high pointing it. Tough to do under pressure. Looks as though there's a timeout called, because this game is really, really tight and both teams want to make sure they have a chat. This is basically it's 0-0, and it's first 1 to 4 wins this game now.
So we will come back to us for the game to 4, as right now it is Chevron 11 and Clapham 11.
I'm Steph Pazzo, and I must eat.
Sometimes commentator, sometimes food eater.
On my ultimate travels in 2023, I sampled culinary classics from all across Europe.
Oh, wow.
Guided by some of your favorite ultimate players.
That's the Dutch hospitality for you right there.
I'll give you an insight into the secret spots that only the locals know of.
Are these the best schnitzels in Vienna?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Go find Steph Pazzo on YouTube. Like and subscribe and follow the European Ultimate Must Eat series.
Well, we are certainly eating here today. It is a feast of ultimate, a fiesta of flying discs, and right now we are watching the Open Division finals, long-standing rivals. I mean, dyed-in-the-wool enemies. Chevron Action Flash taking on Clapham, and it has been scintillating, Sean.
It has. It's been an excellent game so far. This is the 16th or 17th time or something like that these two teams have met. This is probably one of the closest ones we had. Obviously, universe point win for Chevron last year, coming in as the reigning champions for the first time. But up to this point, both teams really, really close. We saw the total passes a point ago. Very, very tight. The clean holds, very, very tight. Chevron actually doing a bit of a better job of generating turnovers, but Clapham, as they know how to do, just working out how to win games and doing a great job of it.
McHale, and he's won games all over the world. And also has, I think, a coaching side gig in case you're looking to learn more and maybe break your way into Clapham one day. Check that out. Start promoting everybody's side business on these streams. Is McHale promoting his own with that huge throw right into the path of Wilson, taken down comfortably and feeding forward to has to tumble for it. Wilson taking that down over, as you said, one of the best defenders in the country, Roger Williams.
Yeah, Roger Williams really makes a good effort at it, throws himself at it, can't quite get there because Wilson has possession the whole way, and Wilson's also a bigger body than Roger Williams. If that sits up in the air, you would bat Wilson all day. It's a nice throw from McHale. The stoppage has given Clapham time to consider what they want to do, but that kind of execution is what you expect at this level. That's what Chevron will have been expecting, and their O-line's coming out to try and put another point on the board, as we see a lot of the same familiar faces have been doing a great job so far in this game. As we see that throw from McHale, absolutely on the money for Conrad Wilson.
realistically, yeah, anywhere else a little bit further to the right, and Williams is going to be able to peel off and try and get a block on it. But that one, even just the arc of it, and really well taken by Conrad Wilson. Like you said, he's the long man, but that's a full extension grab.
Yeah, like absolutely, I agree. If any deviation from that line, and Williams at least has a bid on that. But with Wilson extending out for it, with the spot that's put in, he has no bid whatsoever. I think Justin Ford maybe would like that throw to be a little more on point, so he doesn't have to go to the ground. He's an incredible athlete, but he's an older player now. Doesn't need to be throwing himself when it's not required. So maybe a little more friendly throw in future from Conrad Wilson.
I don't know. I think Conrad Wilson, if it was up to him, would have chosen to do that anyway. As long as it's definitely a score. Show you can still get dirty, boss. There's a hammer over the top to Hodgett, almost stolen in from Conor McHale, who's made the transition over to the D-line. You can see Clapham want to take care of business. They're looking for Elliot Edwards, lots of people in the way. Felix Martin, that has to be considered a foul.
I think that's a foul. Elliot Edwards is about to go up for it, and I think Felix Martin comes over the top and gets contact there. There's no question, I think, that Felix Martin gets the disc, but that's not the point we're talking about. I think there has to be contact to get there. I think we're going to listen in now.
Yeah, uncontested. Foul, uncontested. I think we go back to...
Can I just say, please do that more often. Showing the hand signals directly into the gimbal. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. The way they posted it, Felix and Elliot Edwards, or I'm calling one by their first name.
It doesn't matter. It makes it very easy for us. That's fantastic.
It's so easy. That's two men with 5 first names. Elliot Edwards, and that time there's no foul call. Kime says fair play. Felix Martin says send it deep, I am going. Coldhammer with a little bit of a knock on McHale to dissuade that, but reaching backwards in time and then setting up the throw. Knapp wide awake and looking for options. Cross to Hillman, another man who's transitioned over to the D line. McHale cross to Knapp. Knapp has Nuge, says no. Instead, that's a tough break on the best of days. And right now both these teams having a good time. Weir and Hodgett just making their way down the pitch. Something of a jailbreak. Back to Weir. Oh no, it was too delicate. Not enough spin, you've got to make sure. Now is not the time. Offhand throw undoes the Chevron opportunity, and McHale with a very understandable timeout.
That is an absolutely brutal turnover for Chevron. They'd worked so hard to get it up there. It was a good defensive play to get a turn for Clapham right on their own end zone line. They work it down. They force a difficult reset. That reset from Hugh Knapp is a really tough throw, and Chevron get that turnover. And Weir and Hodgett are able to run up the field, but for a little turn like that, at that point of the point, is so tough to come back from. As we see that foul call, it was accepted by Felix Martin. As I said at the time, I think he gets the disc, but there's got to be contact to get there. That one, though, that's just fantastic. They're both leaning into the same area. And as you see, left-handed Weir with a right-handed backhand drifts on him, and Hugh Knapp rips it down, pops it to Conor McHale. Like you said, Lorcan, McHale and Hillman, both known for many years as defensive players. They're defensive aces for that team. Coming over to the O-line, to the D-line, from the O-line, from their new positions on the O-line, to try and secure this break, because they know, just as we do, this is a crucial moment of the game. We said this is a game to 4. They're 1-0 up. A point here is going to make a huge difference.
As the scoreline currently playing to Clapham's favour. But it's been so difficult to differentiate between these two teams right now. Even when you look to the stats, the total passes, completions, opportunities, breaks, they're all so closely related, and things getting maybe a splash messier on this point. But it just shows how tightly connected these two teams are. Maybe some of us might have been guilty of coming into this thinking Clapham were going to blow Chevron Action Flash away, but they rise to the occasion.
They really have. Fair play to Chevron, who have a couple of injuries, obviously missing Ethan Morrell, one of their centerpieces of their O-line. A couple other people not able to play. Mark Penny's on the sideline, kind of helping coach, helping give pointers to people, call lines. But they have come into this game and they've thrown absolutely everything into it, and they are giving Clapham about all they can handle at the moment.
I love this moment where the offense sets up and the defense gets to set up and decide what they're going to do. 10 seconds of hard defense gets you the disc, and the first throw is always the most difficult.
Yep.
McHale, I mean, one of the best people in the world to be taking that first throw for you. To Hillman, across to Martin, and now they can get into flow. Nice little bit of help defense to stop the throw back from Bennett. It goes to Hillman. And then Martin just staying calm on that sideline spot. Now Colehammer switch to take away the around. It goes to Nugent. Just a quick move down the line by Brooking. Goes back to Hillman. Like you said, Brooking tireless. Forces Criddle to come out and pick up that assignment. McHale straight through into the middle. Working with Knapp. And then McHale with the scooper all the way over the top, and there's nothing but daylight. And Brooking takes it in for probably his easiest of the 3 scores.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, as soon as we saw McHale pick up the disc, you could see Nugent and Brooking over on that far sideline. I lifted up my left hand and pointed at them. Connor McHale is not afraid of throwing those overheads, those more speculative throws. He's definitely of the Clapham offensive handler set. He's the one that takes the most risks. He's very happy throwing into space if he thinks one of his teammates is going to be able to get it. And that is all that is. Pop it up into space and let one of those boys go and get it. And Brooking pulls it down. Huge, huge break for Clapham. What a big moment in the game that is.
3 breaks so far in this game. All 3 of them scored by Henry Brooking for Clapham.
Big time, big time. First time he's playing with the team. First year with Clapham. You can see Nugent celebrating before Brooking even catches it. He knows that Brooking isn't going to drop that kind of throw.
I think a lot of people saw this coming, especially a lot of people over in Chicago, maybe.
Elliot Edwards, I think, sees it coming because McHale steps kind of backwards to give himself space to throw that scuba. Elliot Edwards steps forward with his hands up. He recognizes what's coming, but he still can't stop it.
Beautifully done. So you have another look there. That's a D-line player. Imagine that was your stat line as a D-line player. Not bad.
Not bad, not bad. He'd probably prefer a couple of blocks in there, but getting 3 goals for 3 breaks for Clapham, really central to their success in this game. His first UK Nationals final.
And much like the Chevron side, rising to the occasion. So, after a bit of a messy point, couple of turns for both sides, well, for Chevron anyway, Clapham gave him the disc back and they couldn't convert. That disc isn't even nearly coming back in, so you got to imagine Chevron Action Flash are going to take that further up the pitch.
Looks like it went out just past Clapham's own brick mark, so it's not a complete disaster for Clapham. It hasn't gone out on their own goal line, but still a short field for Chev. You would expect them to convert from here.
This is that strategy they were all practicing in Leuven.
It was. Short field, we can't bother to run.
We'll see how Chevron respond to it. It did prove the undoing of many a team. Hodgett. Spears immediately clears out to make the space for Graham. Bennett is reaching that at full grab. Williams seems to have made the transition over to the O-line to steady the ship somewhat, perhaps bring a bit of extra athleticism. Spears doesn't want to take that break on against Felix. Martin. Now it's back to Williams. And that one's just thrown a bit too under. Ollie Gordon's trying to take it off Sweetenham. I think Sweetenham will have to admit what most of us already saw.
It looked to the naked eye like Gordon got there first. Tough to tell though. Obviously it's so close, but in real time my feeling was that Gordon got there first. But it looks as though Gordon's given it up.
Well, that's just another great example. It's another great example of how we can't tell what they feel on the pitch from what we see. And immediately conceding that, Gordon lets Sweetenham have the disc.
Another great example, I think, to be fair to these teams. It's been a very physical game. They've been boshing each other quite a lot. Really well-spirited.
Really well-spirited. Sweetenham. Oh, that's a fantastic cut if Sweetenham can get off the break. It floats. There's a lot of people. And it's still collected somehow. Is that Williams? That's Williams with the disc. Right on the front of the end zone cone. And then Sweetenham. That one was considerably easier to catch. Graham gets the goal.
That is absolutely mad. That disc is in the air for seemingly like 10 seconds. And as it comes down, it's definitely a block from Clapham. But fair play to Williams, keeps his eye on it, reels it in, and then has the presence of mind not to try and force something into the front cone. Instead, come back and wait for a more open option. Good hold from Chevron. Came with a few moments of peril, to be fair.
That's a good hold.
But a much needed hold. Any hold is a good hold at this stage of the game.
That's a very, very good point. What's that old expression that the British Navy used to have? Hold fast?
Hold fast, exactly. In this situation, it is like, as long as the job gets done, who cares how it gets done?
Well, the seas are certainly rolling. And we might have seen a tempest in the mixed division, but there's certainly a storm brewing here in the open.
It's Clapham. Like Captain Ahab
Call me Ishmael.
Trying to get back. Does that mean the championship is Moby Dick or a Chevron Moby Dick?
Oh, that's a great point, and doesn't that mean this would kill them?
Maybe. But
It's been a while since I read Moby Dick.
You've got to be prepared to sacrifice everything to win.
I don't think that's the lesson of Moby Dick. As Conor McHale is in the end zone, collects it, throws it to Abrams. The mum who has been sunning players in what has been quite an impressive performance from him in the final so far. Briggs goes with an under flick. He can apparently throw those as well. Wilson goes with the hook, setting it up. He's looking for Modiano, and that's exactly who he sees. That is concerning. We wish him absolutely the best. Fantastic throw from Wilson. Really good work from Clapham as they worked it all the way down the line. You could see that quick fire action, then Briggs gets it in a power position, but recognizing the opportunity immediately coming towards him in the form of Wilson. And when they send that deep, there was two Clapham players who were at full extension further ahead. Both Chevron defenders were trailing them, and it was with an absolutely stellar grab, Oscar Modiano.
Yeah, and there's contact in the air. Robbie Haynes is going up to try and get there as well. Goes a little late. Modiano, I think, lands. There might be some extension there. We're gonna take a quick break, I think, while the players are resting. We'll come back and hopefully have some news on how this is going.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Welcome back, everybody. So that was a big time score for Clapham, capitalizing on the second break, or well, the third break of the game, the first of the second half, pushing themselves out to 14-12, showing you just how impactful going in with the break when you start off serve in the first half is. Because this game does not feel like a 14-12 game right now.
It doesn't. It's been really clean, really tight. Both teams doing a really good job of moving the disc and taking advantage of what they've got in front of them. No one's forcing things really, and the defensive plays that we've seen have largely been just really good play by defenses. You know, people making blocks, we've made good poaches, getting in good areas. It's been a really good game up to this point from both teams. Certainly, both teams have put everything out there as well. We've seen some really good plays, and we've seen people running really hard and doing everything they can to try and win. Chevron obviously coming in slight underdogs despite being national champions. The results would have indicated that they were underdogs. Obviously, that game against Smog I talked about earlier, as we see some highlights from the game so far. Brilliant bid from Ben Barak, World Games player, on Conor McHale.
Just huge effort all over the pitch, both teams showing out. Now, I was curious as we see through these highlights, you know, you're missing Ethan Morrell, who, and I think the debate is getting harder and harder to make, but I would say debatably Chevron's best player. As we have another look, some of these throws have been fantastic. McHale has been putting things on strings for players to chase down throughout this matchup, and then the short space that they're attacking, that Clapham are going for.
Yeah.
We seem pretty confident that's the strategy.
Yeah, you talked about it a lot, and I think it seems like almost the way those Japanese teams have played in the past. You know, those small spaces where we know there's very little way when we release it that disc is going to go anywhere other than where I want it to go if I'm good enough to do it, you know? Whereas when you're throwing a huck, we've seen several times for all kinds of teams, open, mixed, women's, doesn't really matter the level. You send some hucks up and they've kind of been bobbling in the air. These throws, there's very little way for the conditions to affect them. So if we're good at them, we know we're going to be able to execute them against anybody and in any conditions. It's a flying block from Nugent there.
There's been some lucky sevens taking flight in this game.
There really have. There's been some great stuff. It's a nice catch from Butt there as well.
And this was following the really good work they've been doing down the line. Chevron have exerted pressure on almost everything Clapham have done, but Clapham just relentless. They just wear you down like basically a process of erosion on your defense until eventually a gap appears and they flow through like a river.
Yeah, and Chevron have been doing everything they can to stop those gaps appearing. But fair play to Clapham. Clapham's execution just been making them get there. They've been getting closer and closer and closer.
And again, we want to have another look at some of these push passes that are getting off.
That push pass, honestly.
And
then you see Elliot Edwards put his hands in the air. He knows what's coming. Whoop. But no, can't stop it. Gets out there anyway. And Henry Brooking, we've already talked about it. His first year with Clapham, playing with GB Open. And he's able to bring that in. Little head spike. I didn't see that to start with.
Gotta worry about some of these youths head spiking. I've seen some very aggressive head spikes, and you're like, I mean, that's the hell of a way to end your weekend is giving yourself a concussion in celebration.
Wouldn't be. You'd have to hit yourself so hard with the Frisbee to give yourself a concussion, surely, my lord.
You'd never know, man. A specific angle. It's easier than most people think to
rim
get concussed.
catches you right on there.
I'm saying.
Maybe.
So here's the question as you can see the highlights have come to a close. What do you think Chevy's chances are in Europe this year?
I think Chevy are a good team. We've seen it today. When they have all their players, when they have everybody firing, who knows what's happening with Ethan Morel if he's able to come back in any kind of condition for EUCF. This is a team that can play against pretty much anybody, compete with pretty much anybody, and cause problems for pretty much anybody. Like the amount that their defense has been able to push Clapham and has been able to make them make difficult decisions. Clapham are good enough to eventually still execute some of those difficult decisions or difficult situations. But the defense has been putting them in tough positions, and also offensively, they've been working through all of Clapham's pressure. So Chevron definitely are a team that is going to be able to play against the best in Europe. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see them compete for the semi-finals at EUCF. They're definitely that good. They've been there before. A lot of guys in this team have got experience of doing it. Some of the guys in this team, not many, but some of the guys in this team have got experience of winning Euros as well.
Okay, that was my next question. That was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Who is still on?
Bevan, obviously. Penny's still there. I don't believe that Tomo was there at the time, but Penny and Bevan definitely were both on the team at the time.
As we are happy to see Oscar Modiano, somewhat under his own power, escorted off the pitch. We obviously send all of our best wishes to him. A stellar grab. And what could be the penultimate score in a championship winning season.
Yeah, absolutely. Wish the best for him.
Of course, if you're talking about wishing the best, someone who doesn't need it, Henry Brooking, because he just brings the best. As if it's every day, as if it's normal. Really impressed. And then the Lobster Man, McInerney, right next to him.
The Lobster Man?
The Lobster Man, yeah. He comes from Maine.
Ah, yeah.
And I was like, so what's I knew Maine was about fishermen, and I was chatting to him a little bit about it. He goes, we mainly catch lobsters up there. And I was like, so what do you call a fisherman who catches lobsters? He's like, Lobster Man. I'm like, that was disappointing.
You would have thought there'd be a nice, interesting name.
Yeah, something like Cage Hunter.
Cage
right?
Hunter?
Well, they use cages.
I know, but they're not hunting the actual cages, are they?
Well, they're hunting with the cages, all right. So what would you say? Cage Hunter Witherer?
Cage user, cage weaponizer.
Cage user that seems dangerous.
It
Was
does
that
seem
your prison warden?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll work on it. We'll come back. Maybe come back in the mixed final. We'll have something for you at half time.
We'll keep trying. We are, as the teams get ready to go back out there and just try to refocus themselves, we're going to do the same. We're going to just take one last quick break, and we'll back to you with the closing exchanges of this matchup.
Oh my goodness. That is unbelievable. And created the net and made good.
That was absolutely incredible.
Nabisco Electric, become a member.
Welcome back, everybody, to the closing exchanges of the Open Final. We have watched a titanic battle between those well-established rivals, Chevron Action Flash, that amalgamation of Northerners going up against Clapham, the capital contenders. And in this battle, Clapham have stolen something of a march, but it was at best a single step, but at the right time. They are a break up and 2 points to the good. Chevron will be receiving the disc as they are 14-12 down.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone remembers my roundup of the scores at the beginning of the game so far this weekend, but Chevron played Smog in their first game this weekend, and they were 14-12 down, won that game 15-14. So they've been in this situation very recently. Obviously, they won last year on sudden death. They've competed incredibly well in this game. They know this Clapham team very well. It's a pretty familiar O-line for Chevron. All these guys have been out there doing a really good job for them. Clapham's D-line, on the other hand, have two faces that we've seen on D once before in the second half, but Hillman and Mikhail back out there. Mikhail will be pulling, so this is almost certain to be a pretty big one as we see Chevron try and stay in this game.
Bets in the chat. Is it staying in bounds? Betting is closed. Very much in bounds. Hodgett collects. Nobody around him. Brooking putting that engine into gear as they look to get things going. That was Graham who got the dump pass across, now gets it back. They're waving, calling for somebody, but nobody really moving right now. Three people able to lock in. Sweetenham catches that. Mikhail comes through. Really expected Sweetenham to almost throw that. Nope, it's going to have to call an injury. Mikhail immediately apologetic.
It's a fair enough bid. He comes in, he tries to avoid the contact as well, I think. Just looks like the way Sweetenham's running off, he might have stood on his foot or something like that. And on comes Roger Williams.
You called that perfectly. Trailing foot on trailing foot. You can see why he's the coach. So Roger Williams starts with the disc, gets it back to Hodgett. Bennett just screaming for it as Martin steps off him, and Bennett launches one deep. He wants Elliot Edwards. I don't think he wanted Mikhail or Butt in the area. It doesn't matter!
And Elliot Edwards, Connor Mikhail tries to say something to him about the level of contact. Elliot Edwards responds by spiking it at his feet. There's a real level of intensity within the Chevron team. Elliot Edwards, the young buck, wins that battle in the air against Mikhail. For a moment, a lot of that Bennett shot was going to be ill-advised with Mikhail in the area, but Elliot Edwards, point ender par excellence, ends another one.
He has been such a force. You see them put it up and you think that's a trust throw. They clearly trust Elliot Edwards. Roger Williams putting in work to try and catch up, but completely misreads it. Mikhail gets lost under it, and Williams would have been there. I don't think he wasn't looking straight at him, and he doesn't look. Oh, he looks at him towards the end. Do you think that was on purpose?
No, I think he does the fist pump and spike, and also we've said several times in the game, he doesn't look that excited to score. He just kind of spikes it and walks off. I think it's a pretty standard thing that he does. But certainly I don't think Connor Mikhail was enormously impressed by it. Understandably so.
Well, I was definitely impressed by it. A big grab, and now here the hard work truly begins. Clapham with the disc, looking to take the championship back from Chevron. Action flash, a big D-line point. They come down, they're ready to battle. Abrams ready to meet it. Wilson, center of the pitch, on the brick mark. Gets to East. East sends it down to Ford. They are just isolating cutters and using the space really, really effectively. Now Chevron have a chance to ratchet up the pressure. Tighten the screws. They go back to Wilson. Wilson swings. The force almost switched to allow him to. Hillman, middle of the pitch, forced to turn down the first option. Goes with a big break, sweeping across to East. Hall, slow to cover. Stop the break. Hillman swings. He's happy to sit in that linchpin role for now. Goes up the line. Abrams says no. Wilson comes straight down at him. And there goes Briggs, front corner. Here it is. Ford makes the first move in the end zone. Of course he does. He could barely lift his head from the amount of gold that weighs around his neck.
This is a straight D-line for Chevron as well. In an absolutely crucial moment, just shows you how they run that team. Faith in all their players.
Excellence by committee. Briggs. And East with the stutter step, but it goes to Hillman instead. And they've shown how comfortable they are operating in these small spaces. Briggs thinks about the overhead, doesn't want it. Has just about every throw that you on the mark don't want to see. Dulé has his work cut out for him. Big break from Wilson around Haynes. East doesn't take on the harder throw. Wilson gets it to Ford, they're right in front. Briggs wants it around. Ford, can they win on a push pass? They go for a scooper instead. Body's in the way. Wilson collects. He's going to call, I think, foul, although just where the disc was, it looked almost like a timeout.
So I think Wilson is calling a force out here. I think that is what he's called because he's pointing at the end zone. He definitely landed out, but I think he's saying he would have landed in without the contact from Seb Allen, which is I don't think I've seen force out called for a score before. I've seen it on end zone lines. I've called it myself once on a sideline, but I've never seen it scored for a potential score before.
Potential championship
score.
There's no way that gets accepted.
No. And I mean, I just want to say, Justin Ford threw an offhand scuba to try and win the championship back.
I mean, clearly Conor McHale's having an influence on him.
Like you said, there's discussion and all the Clapham boys are signalling goal, but there is simply no way Seb Allen is going to accept that.
Well, we'll see if he can get it to the far corner. Oh, he just fakes, really nicely done. Ford wants that, and then Hillman with the collection, running through for the score. The small spaces is where you win, the margins is where you become a champion, and Clapham reclaim their crown. The king is dead. Long live the king.
Is there a call or something? Because Seb Allen hasn't moved. I don't know whether there's a call saying that Conrad Wilson bumped him away and he couldn't compete something, but no call. That is the end of the game. What a strange end to a brilliant game.
I think coming into this, a lot of us were afraid that maybe Clapham would just blow them away. Chevron just fought them tooth and nail, and yes, it ends 15-13. That's one break in the difference, just incredibly well timed for Clapham to make sure they carry it. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what the call is going to be there. Wilson doing a good job drawing a couple of fouls out of Seb Allen, so he could have reset the 10 if he wanted to get it.
You can see Deck Cartwright's trying to stop anything coming in that area, and he's flat-footed as Hillman walks past him.
But that's what Clapham did so effectively, was just running through the poaches, running and saying, I will get it half a foot away from my man, and we will do that for resets, and we will do that right in front of the end zone. Nearly impossible to stop because the timing is so specific.
And as you see, Clapham score that point, celebrate for 2 or 3 seconds, and everyone on the entire team runs over to Oscar Modiano to check on him, to involve him in the celebrations, even though he can't move from that position behind the end zone. Again, best wishes to Oscar Modiano, but congratulations to Clapham on regaining their title from a very, very tough and very game Chevron team.
Thank you so much for joining us for that matchup, but we still have one more final left to bring you in the mixed division. So don't you go anywhere. In 10 minutes time, right here on YouTube, courtesy of ULTI.TV, we will be bringing you the matchup between Deep Space and Reading. Long in the tooth, established powers of the mixed division, and promises to be quite a fantastic game. So on behalf of myself, Lord Murray, and the wonderful coach in residence, Sean Colfer, we will see you in 10 minutes.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.